Hey, what is going on, everybody? Here it's Max from the Mambas Legacy podcast, and I'm joined here with Nico from the far end of the bench podcast. How you doing, man?
I'm doing well. It's glad to be on. Like I was telling you a little bit before, my last name is Bryant. Mambas Legacy. I'm glad to be on the show. It's going to be tough if you're a Lakers fan, but I'm happy to be on the show. Thank you for having me.
Hey, thanks for coming on, man. It means a lot, and I know it must be a little bit hard for you staring at that Mambas Legacy right there because of how many years he torched your Nuggets, but it's okay. It's okay.
My whole life, he did that. Don't worry. It was one year after another, seeing 8 or 24 in my nightmares.
Well, I mean, at least it wasn't just exclusively you guys.
It was it felt like it was exclusive to us, but I mean, at the same time, you did torch everyone. Kobe did torch everybody in his path.
Yes, he did. But we'll start off with a topic that you might feel a bit more comfortable with, and it's the Lakers and injuries. Right now, LeBron James has missed 2 straight games due to an ankle injury, and as we all know, he missed a ton of time last year with that ankle injury, and it plagued him during the playoffs. Are you concerned at all with LeBron missing these 2 games?
I'm not, because I know what LeBron's capable of. Look, in my opinion, this Lakers team is more set to win ball games this year with the team they have than they did last year. You could say, well, they lost such and such. The Lakers, when they lose LeBron, look, they're not a better team without LeBron. There's no doubt about that. But Russ just picks it up, and AD just picks it up. Like it'll hurt them in the short term, but at the same time, you just need number sixes now. You just need six out there when it comes to crunch time and playoff time, because he'll turn up at the right time. Russ and AD can grind you through some gritty regular season wins like they have, and then you go from there. Because I mean, look, LeBron, we've all for about 6 years now, we all thought this was LeBron's last prime year. He proves all of us wrong every single year. And at some point now, it's just now this team is just like, we have Melo gets great scoring off the bench. Russ and AD are great pieces, and in essence, like they can take over if they want to. And that's a huge thing, LeBron. The only problem now you're running into is when LeBron's fully healthy, can Russ and AD take a full step back like Bosh did in Miami, or like D Wade did when the big three is in Miami? Because this big three is very similar to that big three. You have the AD prototype like Chris Bosh. You have the D Wade, which is with Russ, which won't. I mean, during D Wade's career, he was ball dominant. Once LeBron came in the picture, he stepped back. Russ is going to have to be that, in my opinion. But when you have players down, whatever reason, the Lakers will be just fine because of the studs they have.
Yeah, no, I'm not too concerned with LeBron's injury. Obviously, I don't want to rush him back, and there was a chance that he played last night. I'm kind of thankful that he didn't. I mean, losing the game to the Thunder, yes, it was embarrassing, blowing a 26-point lead, but at the end of at the same time, you don't want LeBron to rush back. That's what we unfortunately did last year, and we saw how that affected his play come playoff time. But I do agree with you that this roster right now is more playoff ready and championship ready than last year. One big reason we don't have the big penguin Andre Drummond on our team. But other than that, realistically, this bench is very deep. I know the jokes about the retirement home have been made, but Melo's already had a 26-point bomb game, and Melo looks nasty. Malik Monk looks like he's ready. Nunn looks like he's ready. And Russ, we know how he starts off every season he has with a new team. He starts off terribly. The first 20 games of the season, he plays like he doesn't know what a basketball is. We saw that again last night when he had a quadruple double if you count the turnovers. And that was, something you don't really want to see, especially when you're playing a team like the Thunder, who are 1-4, and their only win is against us. Russell Westbrook eventually does turn it up, and I do believe that he can be not ball dominant. That's what he did in Houston with James Harden. He stepped back, let James Harden take it, and before COVID hit, the Houston Rockets had one of arguably the best dynamic duo in the league, and Russ was playing the most efficient basketball of his career. So if he can do that, the only big question here is Anthony Davis. Is he going to be the second or third? I think he's going to be the third. I think he's already a better scorer than what Russ is right now.
Yeah, I think he should be a third option too. And I think because look, I am one of the AD's biggest haters. I'll just straight up say it. I think the dude flops too much. I think he could be a Joel Embiid type player where he imposes his will on every single defender out there. But I think he's a little too soft. Like I think maybe he was injury wise, or what? Maybe because it's in LA. I'm just saying, maybe because he's in LA. But I think AD's gotten too soft to a point where like he's being pushed around by dudes that he shouldn't be pushed around. You know what I mean? Like he has the potential to like there was years there in New Orleans where the Pelicans were not to be bullied around. AD was pushing everybody around, and he was the big brother and not getting pushed around. With the Lakers now, ever since he put on the gold and purple, like it just seems as though he's gone soft. And Russ, we all know how tough Russ is.
Mhm.
Like Russ is gonna be Russ. that's as easy to put it. Russ is gonna be Russ. AD I think needs to be a little bit tougher. I think what they're hoping is that Dwight would have rubbed off on him. Obviously, the whole NBA 75 thing pissed off Dwight a little too much for the reason for that fight that was, I forgot who it was against, with
Anthony
him and AD.
Davis.
So like that, they're hoping that he can show his toughness there. But right now, AD is just too soft for me to be that number two guy. Russ can take Russ is the number one option in my opinion. The offense should go through Russ with AD being the number two option when LeBron especially hurt.
Definitely, I think Russ and Dwight can both push Anthony Davis to be a more dominant offensive player. But just real quickly on the, softest side, Jokic spends more time talking to the refs than his teammates, but that's okay.
Oh, he does. I'm not lying. He does. But at the same time, he'll take your best center down on the post and whip his ass nightly.
Not Davis, but Anthony Davis does need to, he needs to take that next step. But to be fair, this season so far, I know it's a small sample size, 5 games. Anthony Davis does look really good. He's averaging, I think, 26 points, and he's taking a lot of jumpers. I think he needs to cut down on that. I do like that he's taking jumpers and hitting them pretty decently. I mean, it opens the floor, you especially need that when Russ is your point guard. You need that floor opened up. And I think that this is going to eventually mold into something beautiful. I think AD looks like a top 2 defender in the league right now. He's averaging 2.5 blocks a game so far. He looks like he's put a bit of weight on, and for the first time watching Anthony Davis play since New Orleans, I'm not worried about him getting injured.
Oh, you better knock on some wood, buddy.
I,
You better knock on some wood because
I got some wood right here. I just knocked on it, but at the same time, Anthony Davis does not look like he's going to go down and miss half the season. His body looks like he's spent some time with LeBron this offseason. He looks like he's spent some time preparing himself for the season, and he's not, made of glass anymore, at least. Maybe it's plastic now, but it's not glass. That's
the
just
the one thing that interests me with AD too, especially, was when Vogel goes to that lineup where AD is really a natural four. When he puts DeAndre out there with him or Dwight out there with him, that's where Anthony Davis should not be settling for jumpers. Because most teams nowadays run with one center, 2 forwards, and 2 guards, not 2 big men necessarily. Like we're on past those days. If Anthony Davis has a guy that's 6'8" or 6'9", whatever on him constantly, there is zero reason why he should be posting him up and the ball shouldn't be going to him every possession.
Yeah, no, definitely. If I'm a defender and Anthony Davis is taking jump shots, I'm taking a sigh of relief every time he shoots. If Anthony Davis went to the paint every play, he's scoring 9 out of 10 times. He's one of the most skilled big men we have in the league today. I think that goes without question. And he has taken too much jump shots for my liking. Again, kind of happy he's hitting on them. It looks nice. It will benefit us down the road when we need a space real quick. We're playing a team that, then the crowd in the paint. When he can space the floor like that, it's going to be nice. But right now is not the time for that. LeBron, when he's playing, is also looking like he can space the floor. He's taking the most shots outside the paint of his career, and he looks nasty shooting the ball. LeBron, time and time again, like you had mentioned, we say Father Time's going to get him this year. I think this year is going to be another year, defining year where he doesn't get overtaken by Father Time. He looks like he's 30. LeBron he looks smooth this year. Granted, I know he's gone down the past 2 games, but those first 3 games, he looked smooth and ready. And I'm excited to see what this Lakers team can do.
Hey, maybe it's the number change. Maybe it's because he's wearing 6 again.
Hey, 360 goes hard. I can't lie. 360 is a nice team. But so one matchup that is probably, more than likely going to happen is going to be the Nuggets versus Lakers in the playoffs. Murray's going to be back. Hopefully, we're going to be healthy. And for this segment, we're going to pretend that both these rosters are 100%. Granted, that probably won't be what it is because, our Lakers, we starred in the movie Glass. But realistically, both teams are healthy. How would you see a series going down between us?
I think we see a 6-game, 7-game series. I think when you look at matchup-wise, right now, I give the Lakers the nod of experience, obviously. And when it comes to playoffs, that's all it takes,
Mm-hmm.
right? When you look at teams in the long run, and the Nuggets have had a lot of great experience the last 3-4 years now,
Mm-hmm.
getting to the second round playoffs every single year, getting to the conference finals, obviously too. Like that's huge. But at the same time, LeBron James has been over there where he went to 10 straight finals. Like it's a different story, right? The problem with this team, Nuggets team right now, is not necessarily that they're not ready. It's are they up for it? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like we saw that we dominate Portland in the playoffs. They're our little brothers. Utah, we got their number constantly too. Phoenix, outside of last year, they're not. I mean, CP3 has had no experience whatsoever. The Lakers are the one team I look down and I'm like, man, this team is still going to be a battle. Doesn't matter who they face in the first round, second round of playoffs. It's going to take everything you got to beat this team.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to take, obviously, Jokic to continuing what he's doing. It's going to take Jamal Murray to get back to bubble form. If Jamal Murray's in bubble form, this Nuggets are the best team in basketball. Mm-hmm. Because when you talk about MVP Jokic and bubble Jamal, Nuggets there's very few teams out there that will be able to stop the Nuggets. And then you talk about a guy that needs to step up, especially right now, in Michael Porter Jr. I'm very high on MPJ, but MPJ right now gets in his head way too much. And if MPJ is in the right mode, because he'll be the third option once Jamal comes back. Right now, he's the number 1, number 2 option, constantly every night in and night out. Right now, right now he's doing that, but when we get to the playoffs, it's going to be a completely different story. Some nights Jamal's not going to have it. Some nights Jokic isn't going to have it, but you got to be the one that has it. So that's where it worries me. I would give the nod to the Nuggets slightly just because I feel like this team is going to be making some additions down the road. You look at the end of this bench, Bull is going to be traded. Zeke Naji is going to be traded. You're probably going to see another defensive guard come into this team, or offensive guard off the bench. But I think the legs of this team may help them in the long run. Aaron Gordon's a guy that I think is very, very slept on. He's done a very, very good job this season, especially. But you look at matchup wise, if the Lakers run that lineup of LeBron, AD, Dwight, Avery Bradley's he's been starting too, right? And then
we've had Bazemore.
Fucking Bazemore. There we go. Yeah, Bazemore, and then you had Russ. Yeah, Russ, of course. Like, look, Jamal and Russ is going to be a battle. LeBron is the mismatch. AD, you could throw Aaron Gordon on because Aaron Gordon's pretty strong. It's going to be a nightmare matchup for me. I'm going to hate to see it, but I like AG or Aaron Gordon's chances compared to AD than the rest of the team. That makes sense. Because you can't throw Jokic on him necessarily. A guy that we're obviously missing big time is Jeremy Grant. I would have loved him still on this team. I think he would have been the key piece in the championship team here. But right now, the Lakers have a slight nod because of experience. The Nuggets team needs to prove it. That's my opinion. And this is coming from a Nuggets fan. Like, I want this team to prove it. I badly want this team to prove it. But until we get over the hump on our back, which is the Western Conference Finals, and get to our first NBA Finals appearance in team history, it's going to take a little bit more than that.
It will take everything you guys got, and I think the X factor of that series would be MPJ. I believe whoever MPJ's on is going to be a nightmare for you guys. Unfortunately, I watched him get exposed time and time again. Pick and roll, Chris Paul mid-range. Pick and roll, Devin Booker mid-range. And MPJ was in his head that series. Granted, he was shooting. I liked when he shot. Like, the eye test, he looked like he was comfortable on the offensive side of things, but defensively, he needs to step up. He's got a great frame to be an amazing defender. And the thing is, like you mentioned, picking up another player for you guys. I've been saying that this guy would be a nice pickup for the Nuggets time and time again. There's 2 players here for defensive guards, Marcus Smart or Patrick Beverley. I don't even like Patrick Beverley that much, but he is a pest, and he will give you guys. He's an energizer bunny. He will have you guys running up and down that court. I think Marcus Smart would be the better fit. He'd be able to take a step down, not be dominant with the ball, obviously, at all, and let Murray do his thing. I think that'd be a dream pickup for you guys.
What I think what this team is hoping for is Jamal, before he got injured last season, was a first or second team all defensive type player. He had a great defensive year, so I hope when he comes back he'll be able to do that. But a guy like PJ Dozier, who's they're hoping to take the next step as a defensive-minded guard at least. Because
Mhm.
obviously Will Barton's not going to be able to stop many souls, but they're hoping PJ Dozier come playoff time can do that. In my opinion, what this team is missing right now is a bench scorer. I think some names that come to mind especially would be the types of Buddy Hield. I think Buddy
Mm.
Hield, like you could get him for pretty cheap. Honestly, you could have you'd have Sacramento throw in Bagley too because they're not even playing him. So you could have Sacramento throw those two in, and you have Bagley coming off the bench as a backup center, and then Buddy Hield with that second group. I think would be absolutely deadly. What that's going to take though, maybe a little bit more than you think. I mean, you may have to throw some picks in there. Obviously, Bull. You might have to throw one of Monte Morris or Facu in there and work around that deal. But I would love a deal with Sacramento along those lines because I think Bagley is really underappreciated and Sacramento just isn't using
Mhm.
him at all. And obviously, Buddy Hield has been wanting out. He almost was a Laker. Like he's been wanting out for a few years now. So I would love those two additions. I think defensively, this team will be fine because what I've seen so far has been a great leaps from the defensive side of the ball, at least guard wise. Big wise, we're getting killed on the boards. But that second unit, I'm hoping maybe Bones Highland turns into a scorer. I love me some Bones action because he's played really well to start and really well in preseason.
Mhm.
But we right now it's just lacking in that department, especially because Jokic is injured right now. He had that right knee contusion on Tuesday night, so hopefully he's probably out on Friday against the Mavs. So we'll see who steps up because obviously it has to be MPJ, it has to be Gordon, but that bench could see some Bones action.
Definitely agree. I do. I still think you guys need a bit more defense. I know that your guards are probably the better area you guys are at defending, but the fact that the bigs get killed so much on your team, you need as much defense as you can take from anywhere. Uh, and we're gonna move away from the Nuggets and Lakers for a little bit and talk about the undefeated team in basketball right now that's going up against the Knicks tonight. How high are you on the Bulls? Is this a fluke their start?
I'm gonna say no because I was high on them last year. I thought this team would have been a playoff team. I thought this team would have been made some noise because I love me some Levine. I think look before they had Lonzo and Caruso and DeMar. I love Kobe White. I think Kobe White is a great backup guard. So I think he has a lot of potential. Then the addition of Vucevic is very very slept on. Vuce is a very very solid center out there. So this Bulls team they're not just fun to watch. They're good. Like
Hmm.
like they play with a chip on their shoulder. Like this is I'm not going to say this is Lob City Clippers, but they're out to put on a performance. You know what I mean? Like they're out there to have fun with one another and show the world what they got. And right now they're doing it with good solid defense because Levine has stepped up his defensive end, and obviously Lonzo and DeMar have had that for a while now. But you add in the wow factor of what those guys can do jumping out of the gym. This Bulls team is just absolutely fun to watch.
Especially when you add Alex Caruso to that mix. He's an amazing defender. He was a very slept-on pickup, and I know that the memes are the bald eagle and all that. As a Laker fan myself, we call him that too. But Alex Caruso is no joke. He is
I feel
one
like
solid defender.
Elmer Fudd is a better nickname for him, but instead of the bald eagle, but
Well, no, no, no. Elmer Fudd went to Dudley when he was with us. Dudley
that's
got him.
fair.
But Alex Caruso, he's a nasty pickup for these guys. And these Bulls look like they're having fun out there. They don't look like they're working. They look like they're having a good time. And that's scary to see. Zach LaVine, this is the first time in his career he started off 4-0. I thought that was a little fun fact right there. But like you said, Vucevic was incredibly slept on. Last year when they picked him up, people were saying, whoa, maybe you guys gave up for Vucevic. They gave up way too much. No, they didn't. Vucevic is a bona fide star in this league, and he's gonna bring this team to the next level. And I do believe that the Bulls will end up being a top three seed.
I don't know about top three seed
Mm.
because you look at the top of the East because Brooklyn's going to be Brooklyn if Kyrie figures out whatever he's going to do. Brooklyn will be Brooklyn. The Bucks I think are still there. They're better than a lot of teams, but I still think I still like the Heat better than them though. That's a problem.
Oh God.
With Lowry now and Jimmy and Bam, I still like the Heat, slight edge there. But one of the players that people are also sleeping on with the Bulls too is Patrick Williams.
Mm-hmm.
The number 4 overall pick from 2 years ago now was everyone was like, well, what the hell are they doing with this pick? Because there were so many good names on the board still when they picked him up, and he has fit in perfectly. He is the guy. He is the guy that picks the other team's first or second best scorer and guards them, and then he's just a knockdown shooter. Like he has been an absolutely incredible guy for them that people aren't really talking about enough.
You know, he doesn't need to score, and that's why he fits in so great. He's just that he wants to play defense. He could care less if he gets 10 dunks a game. He wants to pick their guy, and he wants to establish himself as the big baddie. Like even last night, I remember watching. He had like 2 blocks last night. He looked against the Raptors, not last night, but he had 2 blocks, and he looked nasty. He is one hell of a player. I think he was incredibly slept on in the draft. Granted, at the time, I'm not sure if I would have picked him, to be fair.
I
But
probably wouldn't have either. So,
but the Bulls, they're nasty. Now, you mentioned the 2 teams that I think could be higher than the Bulls in the standings. Don't let's not start with the Heat. Jimmy Butler got outscored by Bryn Forbes last year in the playoffs, so
hey,
I don't want to hear it.
they look good at the beginning of the year. They look pretty good at the beginning of the year. Then Lowry, I think Lowry still got it. So I'm not going to ever count out the Heat just because of the Heat culture. I know you're going to hate me saying that, but it is very, very hard to ever count out the Heat.
Well, I don't think the loss of Dragic has hit yet. Once you guys get to playoff time, then they'll start to miss Dragic. They'll start to miss him. He's a killer come playoff time. And you guys lost one. Kyle Lowry, he's nasty. He's nice. He's all right. He's not beating these Bulls. If they played right now a 7-game series, Bulls in 5. But
That's definitely a hot take right now, especially the experience that Miami has compared to Chicago. That Chicago team is very, very raw. Like Lonzo hasn't had a playoff appearance. Caruso's the only one with any experience, and he wasn't even necessarily a starter. Like it's there's this team is.
You're right.
It's raw. I like them, but it's raw. Like I said,
it's raw. It is. But the Heat got their taste of success too early. They made it to the finals, and they got their ass handed to them by LeBron and the Lakers.
This is
and
true.
You could tell last year that they kind of walked into the playoffs with that sense of, we're going to make the finals again. And they didn't win 1 game.
The Bucks punked them, yeah.
Yeah, like you can tell with that Heat roster, they walk around with a lot of confidence that wasn't necessarily earned last year. Like Tyler Hero, for example, he was walking around like a celebrity all last year. He was Jack Harlow's best friend. And then come playoff time, he wasn't.
Yeah, the whole Tyler Hero thing, I could go on and on about that. I think he's a decent player, but he's not what everyone thinks he should be. Mm-hmm. He had 1 game, was it in the Eastern Conference Finals or might have been the finals, where he went berserk, and everyone's basing that 1 game off of it now.
I still think he's on the same level as Duncan Robinson. I think they're both.
Yeah, Duncan Robinson. I like Duncan Robinson more because he's a deadlier 3-point shooter.
Mm-hmm. But since Tyler Hero was on a. He was mainstream and everybody liked him. He was in music videos and stuff. He's better apparently, but I don't know how that classifies into NBA players. But you know what? That's fine. Now let's talk about something that isn't fine. The NBA's new penalties, rules, blah, blah, blah. I woke up this morning to see that Russell Westbrook had a higher 3-point percent than Damian Lillard. Because of all these rules, the NBA's have an all-time low in free throws shot. Players' stats are dropping dramatically. James Harden has yet to score over 20 points. Think about that real quick. Let's let that sit in. James Harden, who we've been saying these past couple of years is a top 3 scorer all time. He's on par with Dwayne Wade. Has yet to get over 20 points. So that's just something to sit on. Damian Lillard's stats are down. Embiid stats are at 20 flat. Granted, I just found out that he was playing through an injury. But what do you think of the new, officiating?
I'm going to be – I don't know if this is a hot take. Maybe you're on the hot take side. I'm on the side of I actually like it. I think the flow of the game is a lot better. We are not seeing like – obviously, one of the things in the early 2000s especially was the hack-a-shack stuff. Getting rid of that was huge for the game. But now the league is not awarding bad or defensive blunders and pass. It caters more to the defensive side of the ball, which I necessarily like. Obviously, look, James Harden shot 15 free throws per game. That's why his averages were that good. I'm being serious. That's why his averages were being that good. He would shoot 15 free throws a game constantly. And now we're seeing everyone that thought he was better than Wade. I have bad news for you. He wasn't. He's still not. And Harden is just a guy that needs to get to the line. If you need to get to the line to get a bucket, I'm sorry, you're not one of the top 5 in basketball. That's just plain and simple. Like you need to be a playmaker because we got to the point where, look, if LeBron was in James Harden's shoes and would draw 15 free throws per game, and people are saying, well, man, he'll never be Jordan. That's the case for it right there. It's because of the free throws. Like, you get rid of the free throws, you see who the real hoopers are. Like it's the fact that, look, the flow of the game is a lot better. We're not seeing BS calls where people are trying to kick out their legs. And look, I've seen a lot of those. And there should be fouls. I think they should have done it better. I think I agree with not necessarily awarding free throws for just hucking up shots. I think what they could have done is on non-basketball moves, you don't award free throws. I think that would have been a better move instead of because at the same time, if a defender hops in the air and does bump into the guy, it's a foul. But you should not have awarded free throws, if that makes sense. That's my opinion on it. But I like it a lot. Like I said, I think the Beverly call the other night where he basically ran into the guy's back and got an offensive foul for it, I loved it. Because I think that's chicken shit. And I think the guys who do that are just messed up, and they are not. They're trying to. I get what they're doing. I get that they're trying to do the ins and outs of the games, but at the same time, you're taking away the natural essence of basketball, in my opinion.
So I know, contrary to my intro to this topic, I'm actually for it, and I'm more for it than you now. Apparently, I think it's almost perfect. I love it. It's finally awarding defensive players. Defensive-minded players are finally getting some recognition. I remember as a Laker fan, we had a game where we had to play with our hands behind our back. Literally, we had LeBron, Alonzo, everybody with their hands holding each other behind their back because we were playing James Harden. I like James Harden. I think he's a good basketball player. He's nowhere near Dwayne Wade's level. Dwayne Wade knew how to win when it counted. Dwayne Wade has a couple rings to show for it. It's just, FYI. But defensive-minded players can finally play basketball. You don't have to play perfect defense for 20 seconds of the shot clock, and then somebody just, jumps right into you, throw their arms up, 2 free throws, you're a bad defender, you gave up a foul. We're not having to deal with that anymore. We finally get to see the real hooper shine, and I think the person who's benefited the most is Steph Curry. Steph Curry looks nasty right now. Steph Curry, he's proven that he doesn't need free throws. And granted, I don't think anybody said he needed them, but he looks nastier without them. Like he's getting the bumps. He's not stopping his shot. He's not throwing his hands up. He's not saying that's a foul. He's still putting the bucket in, and it is amazing to see some of the real hoopers shine. James Harden, I think he's definitely been hit by it the hardest, and like a lot of people said, he's kind of the poster boy for all this, which he kind of deserves. Let's just be honest for a second. How many free throws a game was the man shooting? And then people had the audacity to say that he should have won MVP over Giannis. I thought that was some bullshit. Speaking of which, Giannis looks nasty this year. If he's shooting like this the entire year, the league's done for. But I think it's almost perfect what they've done. Granted, you're going to have a couple things here and there, but I'm tired of seeing games end on free throws. I'm sick and tired of seeing a neck-and-neck game end with somebody at the line over a drawn foul. I'm tired of seeing Trae Young throw his body into people and, that's a foul. He's crabbing people. I'm tired of seeing that. And I can finally enjoy the defensive side of the game.
Oh, I agree 100%. Like I said, you're seeing more the hoopers action. Like, guys are just getting exposed for it. Like, it adds more creativity on the offensive end too. Guys can just huck up whatever and get a foul call and then walk it off. Mm-hmm. Now you got to be creative. Now you actually got to play basketball and be smart about it too. Harden, the whole Harden thing, like I said, there's a reason why he was averaging that many points per game. It's because it was 50. Half of them are free throws. Mm-hmm. Like, take them away. This is what happens. And there's a reason why James Harden has never got past the Western or the conference finals in general. Like, look, the Nets team last year should have been in the finals.
Hmm.
The Rockets team should have beat the Warriors. Like he just doesn't. At some point, he does not have that gene in him where he can get a bucket without getting a foul.
Hmm. I'm gonna slightly disagree with that Warriors take. I think they were gonna win if Chris Paul didn't go down. I think they were kind of for sure to win that game 6. But I do see where you're saying James Harden should have played a lot better than what he was. For example, I still remember watching Game 6 against the Spurs, where James Harden just completely wet the bed. There's so many times where you can point to James Harden and say he's wet the bed, and you've noticed when he has games where he doesn't shoot a free throw, his stats are 22 points. I mean, granted, he's still a great passer. I'll give him that. He can facilitate the ball pretty well. He can rebound for a shooting guard pretty damn well. But he just can't get the same scoring averages. You're not going to see him averaging 36 in a month anymore because he's not throwing his arms up. I mean, think of it. How many free throws was the man shooting a year? How many? He was at the line 12 times a night, 15 times a night.
It
Hell,
was
there were
getting
games where he was there
ridiculous.
20 times a night. And it was so frustrating because, as a basketball fan, when we played the Rockets, I'd turn my TV off. I'd be like, I don't want to watch this. I don't want to see half the game of somebody dribbling the ball twice and shooting a free throw. I don't want to see that.
Absolutely. There was times where if the Rockets are on TV, I'm watching a different game.
Mm-hmm.
Like I remember that vividly. Like, oh, the Rockets are on my TV. Screw that. I'm not watching Harden play. Like I'm like it was legit that bad. Like and I'm trying. I'm like honestly the only reason why Brooklyn's even watchable is because KD is a goddamn absolute animal.
Mm-hmm.
But Harden like the Rockets were unfathomable to watch.
Mm-hmm. They were the most frustrating team in the world to watch because I mean you saw it against the Warriors. They missed 27 straight missed threes. 27 straight because they weren't getting foul calls. They were just shooting threes, and without the calls they can't hoop. When we saw that then, I believe that they hate Scott Foster. I don't think Scott Foster is the greatest ref in the league. I don't
Oh,
like him too much at all. But you know what? He treated the Rockets more of how they should be. I think that's one thing we can say about Scott Foster. He did not bend over for James Harden. That's the one thing. Like I say, Rockets fans, I know Scott Foster's not a great ref, but you guys hate him because he won't give Harden 20 free throws. There's a difference here. We
oh,
hate him
big
because he's
difference.
he's blowing calls. You don't like him because he's not giving you 20 free throws.
Mhm. Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah, so I think that's the main reason we hate Scott Foster. But unfortunately, we have to wrap it up on that note right there. Again, huge shout out for coming on. Quick shout out to what you guys are working on over your podcast. Shout out to your podcast. And after this, remember, guys, links to my guest stuff will all be in the description. So thank you
Of
for
course.
coming on.
Of course, yeah. Thank you so much for having me, man. It was a lot of fun. Like I said, you can check us out at FEOTD Pod, Instagram, Twitter, all that good stuff. We release new episodes every Wednesdays at 11 Mountain Standard Time, so 1 o'clock Eastern. So you can check us out on there. We like to interact with everybody on Twitter, on Insta, whatever it may be. Like if you see basketball stuff, it's coming from me. If you see football stuff, it's from my other co-host too. So you get to hear about a little bit of everything. But yeah, thank you so much for having me on, man. It was a lot of fun. I always jump at the bits when I get a chance to talk more hoops.
Hey, I love talking hoops too. I can't wait to have your reaction. Hopefully, you'll be back on soon when Jokic gets traded to the Lakers for
Oh man.
Carmelo,
Hey,
right?
hey, I'm saying right now, Lakers, Nuggets, Western Conference Finals, I'm coming back on. Guaranteed.
Oh, no, you'll probably be on before that. Let's just be honest with you, because I want to talk to you guys when the Nuggets lose 15 straight or something, you know?
Stop. Stop.
All right. All jokes aside, again, huge shout out for coming on. Again, links to the podcast will be in the description. And everybody, take care and thank you for tuning in to this episode of Mama's Legacy.